meeting. We're in the Carson City Community Center in the Sierra Room, and it's September 13th at 4 o'clock. With that, Linda, could I get a roll call?
Yes. Trish Trenoweth.
Present.
Mike Riggs.
Present.
Mike Jones.
Here.
Stacy Giomi and Mike Santos are absent. We have a quorum.
All right. Could I ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll invite any public comment to discuss any topic that is relevant within to this authority. Looks like we've got a taker already. Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. For the record, Karen Abowd, Carson City Cultural Commission Commissioner. I'm here today to thank you for your past support and to urge your continued support of the 1% transient lodging tax for arts and culture. But to be fair, that this should not be the only source of funding for the Municipal Department of Arts and Culture. I will also be appealing to the Board of Supervisors to match the CTA's contribution in some capacity and future fundraising in the business community to further what is working well to create a permanent solution for funding arts and culture. The sunset of 2021 is not that far off, and arts planning is in process into that time frame. To quote Mayor Kroll in his 2019 State of the City address, Mark has raised the visibility of our arts and culture efforts, not only in our community, but statewide and nationally as well. For the first time in 10 years, we received a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. And this one-man department has secured over $25,000 in outside funding to support arts and culture in the capital city. On the horizon, the Arts and Culture Coordinator with the Cultural Commission is writing the city's public art policy, which will be the first of its kind in Nevada. The transient lodging tax monies made the hiring of Mark Salinas possible. When we all work together, all boats float. When I interviewed this current CTA board for their positions and the CTA executive director, that's what we discussed and its importance over a year ago, and each of you was in support of it at that time. This is about a healthy community and a quality of life that residents enjoy and visitors want to visit, that promotes cultural tourism and crosses boundaries of age and ethnicity. The Carson City Cultural Commission understands the importance of data, and back in 2016, when I sat in your shoes on the CTA board, it was decided that a survey card with a box to check for arts and culture as a reason for stay was to be created and distributed to the lodging properties. But for whatever reason, that did not happen. And shame on us, myself included, for assuming that this directive had been accomplished, but the Department of Arts and Culture should not be faulted for that. Moving forward, if the Cultural Commission can work with David and Lydia on the best way to implement this survey data collection, it would be really helpful. Also, if you can guide us on the best way for the Arts and Culture Coordinator to maintain open communication with the lodging properties, whether it is inviting them to a Cultural Commission meeting or a special presentation at the lodging property meetings or a meet and greet, I'm not sure, but you tell us. That would be greatly appreciated. Arts and culture creates environment, and environment creates branding, and that's a necessary component of cultural tourism. And maintaining open communication with lodging to share that message is key. Let's continue to work together to make all boats float and shine as a capital city and a cultural tourism destination. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Next.
Good afternoon, Sharon Ross, Capital City Arts Initiative. Two items to talk to you about. First, I don't think I mentioned this exhibition that we have here in the Sierra Room. This is Tom Draculich, who has recently been designated as city artist by the city of Reno. And like a Poet Laureate. It's a year designation. And Cindy Brenneman, our own gypsy traveler from Carson City with her watercolors. Also coming up on October 4th, CCA is presenting Saludos Amigos by Justin Favela. And we did receive a National Endowment for the Arts grant for his project. So please come to the opening, and if you want to help install the exhibition, we're looking for volunteers. That's part A. Okay, part B. At its August meeting, the Capital City Arts Initiative Board of Directors voted unanimously to support continuation of the city's important arts and culture position. CCI urges early action to sustain this position in order to maintain continuity for a program that is proven to be successful beyond all our expectations. Further, CCAI thanks the Board of Supervisors, the Cultural Commission, and the Culture and Tourism Authority for creating the city's arts and culture position that looks to the future and enhances the local cultural environment. This statement has everything to do with the high level of success that Mark has achieved and the good fortune we have with him working on Carson City's behalf. Thank you for pursuing this. We look forward to a positive action from this board and the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? Thanks.
Any more comments?
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Casmus. I'm a member of the Executive Board for the Nevada Artists Association. And we also want to support what's been going on with Mark Salinas and the Arts and Cultural Coordinator. I think it has benefited the association greatly. I know our sales are up, our membership is up 50%. And that's, to me, has brought a lot of new people, new blood, new tourists into the realm. I know that on every when we had the association with the BAC and they had the music concerts, we also were there with an open door. Normally we would have been closed, but every time we were there, that event brought in new people, and I, having to be at every single event, know for a fact that it brought in outsiders, not only from out of this particular area, but from out of state as well. People who came specifically to enjoy our culture here in this city. So the Nevada Artists Association and its 140 members express our overwhelming support for Mark Salinas and the position of the Carson City Arts and Culture Coordinator. We believe that it is the best interest of Carson City to continue the funding of this position. As the Arts and Culture Coordinator, Mr. Salinas has planned and accomplished wonderful art and cultural events, programs that have increased the visits to our gallery and to our city. We urge the Board of Supervisors to continue the following Carson Master Plan for the arts and to continue on what has been a tremendous impact on the arts community and the Carson City as a whole. Thank you. And I am from, like I said, the Nevada Artists Association Executive Board. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Another one?
Hello, my name is Jackie P Carlin. I have moved here from Maui, Hawaii to Carson City in 2015. I am in support of Mr. Mark Salinas and his position as Carson City Arts and Culture Coordinator. In 2018, Mr. Salinas tirelessly coordinated the NEA Big Read Carson City True Grit Art Exhibit. Because of this event, I read the book and then created a piece for the art show. Earlier this year, I sat in on one of the lecture series presented by the Carson City Department of Arts and Culture that Mr. Salinas also orchestrated. The speakers were an illustrator from England, and the sculptor was from Texas. These lectures open worldly windows of information and offer aesthetic value to Carson City residents. From these experiences, I've read, created, and listened, all in the context of art and culture. As the capital of Nevada, I believe Carson City could be the center of the arts and culture for the entire state. Mr. Salinas is a good man to be at the helm. Again, my name is Jackie P Carlin, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie. It's nice to see people coming from Maui to Carson City. It seems like it's usually we're trying to get to Maui. Any more public comment? All right. Oh, one more?
Hello, my name is Gina Hill. I'm with the Brewery Arts Center in Carson City. And I'm here to report about the Leyva Carson City Concert Series, which just concluded on August 24th, and its relevance to the CTA and Carson Visitors Bureau. So in our 10 weeks of the summer concert series, we had a live attendance audience of over 28,300 people. We had a partnership with the National Grassroots Broadcast Network to live stream and put the concerts on demand, which reached 73,000 views in 21 countries, 60 states, and over 600 cities. Those are all people who now think Carson City is cool and want to come here. The cost of the event, the outside cost, not counting the Brewery Arts Center staff or utilities or anything, was about $84,000. The income was about $153,000. Over $60,000 was raised in outside grants for this event, and they're from non-tax-based entities, most of them coming in from the outside, money infused into Carson City. Through the National Endowment of the Arts, we know that $40 per person is spent on every live music event, average, infused to the community. So that is about $1,132,000 that we brought to Carson City over the past 10 weeks. Anecdotal indicators of the success of the concert series was we learned many families, both local and out of town, base their vacations once we release our lineups for the concert series. They come here specifically for the shows. We know and can account for over 250 room nights that we gained information for at the concert series, and all from people traveling over 100 miles each to attend the concerts. We have seen marked increase from both formal and informal communication of individuals and organizations being proud to be associated with the concert series and the community as a whole. From 2018 to 2019, we saw 19 sponsors grow to 32 sponsors of the series from local businesses and entities. So finally, the number of increased attendance from the concert series was 18,000 in 2018, again to 28,300 in 2019. So we thank you for your support, and we thank you for all the CTA is doing for the arts in Carson City.
Thank you, Gina. All right.
Hello, Milo McCormick with the Carson City Cultural Commission. I'd just like to extend my support of the continuation of the Arts and Culture Coordinator position. Going forward, we see all of our surrounding states have a comprehensive cultural commission, specifically in their capitals, with a coordinator position and a defined master plan, defined arts and culture master plan, which I think maintains our distinction as the capital, maintains our integrity and reputation as a cultural hub of Nevada. And yeah, simply put, I'd just like to extend my hope and expectation that we might continue this position and keep it funded. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Looks like we have another.
Hi, my name is Christopher Leyva. For the record, I'm also a commissioner on the Cultural Commission here for Carson City. I also would like to extend my support for Mark Salinas' position as the Arts and Culture Coordinator. Not only as a commissioner, but also as a younger member of the community, as a Native American, as a Hispanic person, a melting pot, I guess you could say. the outreach is immense with what we've been able to do. I recently just got onto the commission, and the presentations, the amount of work that's put into what Mark does. I've been to his office, and it's a little bit smaller, on the smaller side there, and it's just filled with all kinds of ideas and things he's working on, things that he's doing, and I think it's an absolute pushing force for Carson City. I gotta say, I can't see how much more this thing could really go, but there's ideas out there that, he's working on, that people are talking about, and that focal point of having someone even just in that position. I mean, it couldn't even just be Mark, but it could have been anyone who is able to push that into the limelight, especially for not just the Culture Commission, but also for culture and tourism and everything like that for you guys yourselves. And I think it really brings people out. It brought me out, for sure. I'm only 24 years old. I would never think that I'd see myself in a public eye or even sitting in one of those seats myself. But we even got the younger one, of course, with McCormick over here, who just came up. He's even younger than I. And he decided to come out here, spend his time. We could be out doing anything. Instead, we're out here volunteering our time and being able to do that. So I'd like to put my support towards that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to action item 5, possible action approval of minutes, August 12th, 2019 CTA board meeting. I've gone through the minutes. I don't see anything that needs to be changed. Does any of the board members,
Nope.
I can get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Number 6, adoption of agenda. This time I don't see any reason to rearrange the agenda. We're going to go through with it as planned unless there's any on the board members that need to see anything changed. Okay. Number 7, presentation only, marketing update from KPS3. David?
Thank you, Chair Jones. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority. So we have the wonderful KPS3 team here with us again, Jenna, Lindsay, and Andy. And today we're going to take and do a deep dive on the homepage designs for what we're hoping the new website is going to look like here come mid to late December. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenna, I think, right, to get us started. So take it away, Jenna. Thank you.
Great. All right, we're very pleased to be able to present this homepage design to you today. We've been working for the past few months developing our discovery plan, interviewing many of you, and putting together this guiding principles document. We've also gone through a wireframing stage, so laid the blueprint for what the site will ultimately look like. That kind of helps us lay out the user experience, and now we're finally at the point where we're applying the design to it. So a lot of work in the background that we've been doing here, but I did want to briefly walk through this guiding principles document. We presented this at our last board meeting, but just as a refresher to see what we were really considering when we went into this design process for the homepage. So I'll glide through much of this. I really just wanted to stop on our brand pillars because we lean on these time and time again, and it really drives us when we are deciding the platforms that we need to create and the plan that we'd like to have in place to make sure that we're elevating these brand pillars and making these visible to our visitors as well. So that was our rich history, our heritage and cultural influence, having an inclusive community, being family friendly, and having room to discover and wander. So those are our brand pillars. Again, they support everything that we are doing moving forward. And then I did want to scroll down through this to our website goals specifically. So we are showing only the homepage today. So I just wanted to briefly revisit these homepage priorities. So that is having large visuals focused on outdoor and history. That came from a lot of that, the consumer survey that was presented last time, that was something that people really valued, was the natural beauty of Carson City and the Capitol grounds. That really topped the list. And then showing distances to popular destinations and attractions, with Carson City being the hub to jump off from, that would create day trips. We wanted to focus on having itineraries, just really reiterating how much there truly is to do in Carson City. And then, of course, actually having those top things to do in Carson City, giving those a space for people to scroll through and discover. We wanted to have some sort of a local aspect to it. And then, of course, feature events and content that we are developing as well. So that's just a refresher on what we were really using as our driving force when we created the homepage. So without further ado, I will reveal our proposed homepage design. Let me minimize this. There we go. Okay. So when a visitor lands on this homepage, this will actually be video. What we have to present to you today is static designs. We don't have any functionality included in this yet. That'll be the next step once we actually start to code this and bring in the hovers and all of the interaction and all of that. So this is static, but I can kind of walk you through the story on what we're planning on doing. Oh no. Let's see. I imagine that's my internet connection. Yep. One moment.
And while Jenna's getting settled, just to ensure that there's another step that was in between. So we actually went from guiding principles to then focus on the user experience. And so that was really building out the wireframes and ensuring the features and functionality really made sense when they hit that homepage to be able to tell the story of Carson City. And so that was really the architectural standpoint. And then we moved into the overall design, which we'll present here in the next few minutes.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Okay, great. All right, thank you for that. So this will be a video, and this is also part of our contract, is to go out and to capture new video and photography. So we're really envisioning putting together about a 30-second video for the top here, and we wanted to do something a little more unique for the Carson City site, and that is to have this the box that you see in the left corner narrating what you're actually seeing in the video. What we see time and time again with tourism sites is that they show off these beautiful destinations and have these great places to see, but then no one really knows what it is. So we really wanted to connect what you're seeing in the video to something that you can actually click on. So you could click on this title and actually learn about the Capitol grounds, Kings Canyon Waterfall, some of our arts and culture destinations that we want to elevate, so that you can truly click through and get to those and see them, and not just look at them and say, oh, that's pretty, but I don't know exactly how to get there or what to do there. So that's really the vision for this header area, is to bring in this video element and get people to stay here for a second before they continue to scroll down our page. So going into that next section, we pull out the main navigation items that people are truly looking for when they are considering a place to take a trip. So that's finding out what they can do here, where they can stay, and what they can eat and drink, essentially. So that's what this section is. There will be hovers here, so it'll be very interactive. People will know that they can click through to these and go to the detail pages. And I did just want to stop here for a second, because we're starting to get into a little bit more of the design vibe, and just say that the design here was truly driven by staying true to our classic and historical roots, and merging that with that natural beauty and outdoor experiences, and then really heavily seasoning our other brand pillars in that, like being family friendly and having a strong arts and culture scene. So that's really what informed this design, was bringing in that natural beauty, a little bit of texture, but keeping it pretty classic, and inviting to both of our audiences that we identified, which is the younger millennial families and the weekday travelers and the kind of retired community. So going down, this is where we would like to highlight our itineraries. So these are all editable. So you can update these to focus on other brand pillars or other itineraries that we develop down the road. These are the 4 that we would propose launching with because we know we have really rich content around these. So you see a little bit of the color palette being developed here as well. So bringing in these more earth tones, a little texture, and then developing an icon set and really drawing people into these itineraries. So they would be able to hover over these. That's what you see here with this yellow banner. Hover over that to get a small description of it, and then you'd be able to read more and get that full itinerary. And that is truly where we can speak to all of the attractions that we have in these itinerary buckets, and a little cross promotion can be done there too. So in our plan, we have this wireframed, not designed yet to show, but we plan on having, what a 2-day trip looks like, what a 3-day trip looks like, and the different things that you can do. In the family-friendly one, for example, we know that families come here on weekends for sports events, and so we really want to give them an idea of the full breadth of what they can do in a couple days.
Jenna, will you touch on the icons real quick, please? And
Sure,
the integration
yes, of
with the social
course.
media channels, and thank you.
Yeah, so everything that we're developing here, we're truly seeing translate to other aspects of communication. So as David mentioned, the icons here could be used in the Instagram posts, or they can be used throughout the visitor guide as kind of a key. So making sure that these elements that we are bringing into the website can be repeated and reused, and really just cement that branding that we're developing. And then using a lot of beautiful landscape photos. Again, we're going to be doing some custom photography. I think we're hoping to shoot for mid-October for those. So we'll definitely have our shot list, and this is what we already had in our library, but these can be refreshed as well. So that was one of those areas where we wanted to make sure we're displaying how beautiful it really is in the region.
Is this also and maybe I misunderstood from the last meeting, where, if I'm in the outdoor and I'm somebody within the community that wants to post something, and it's user-friendly, if it's an art and culture event that we can
We're
go with.
getting there, yeah. That's just another section or 2 below, yeah.
Okay.
We're getting there.
Yeah, and I will, I'll go back through it too, and we can stop and look chunk by chunk as well once we kind of get through this all. All right, so in this next section, this was one of our goals that we outlined, and that is really displaying that Carson City is in the middle of all of these destinations, and it makes us the perfect jumping off point for your Nevada experience. So this will be an interactive map. So you can hover over these cards basically, and we did build in some fancy functionality into this comp. But you can hover over these pins and click on them, and the card over to the left will change to give you a short description of that destination, and then you can get more details on that. Those go to our day trip, the day trip areas that we have in our architecture. So we'll have pages for each of these destinations. So on the map view, you see how far away it is in minutes, and then we do highlight how far away it is in miles over to the left. It takes about the same time to get up to the little slice of Tahoe that Carson City claims as its own as it does to Reno, just based on going up Spooner. So we just wanted to make sure we had both of those captured in this area. And then as we go down, this is where we have some of our top attractions listed. And this really gives us a platform to elevate the attractions that maybe people don't know about as well. Or we can really dive into our analytics once the site launches and see, Kings Canyon, people are searching for it, they're getting to it. Maybe we need to put up another attraction here that people can see. And the way that this is designed, you can see that there's it's a card-based design, and this will go width to width in your screen. How I have it right now, just because of the aspect ratio, it's a little bit zoomed out, so you're seeing the white bars. So this would truly be edge to edge. And you can see that the cards feel infinite. It'll be an infinite type of scroll. We'd recommend having about 10 in there because you want to make sure that everything you're trying to elevate can actually be seen, but it just gives it this feel that there is, an endless amount of things to do here. And then all of these would be hoverable and clickable to their detail pages. And that's all placeholder content, and so it's not a foreign language or anything, but yeah, you might not get hung up on the details of trying to read that. So scrolling through, this is our Explore Carson City Like a Local section. So we have built it into our communications plan to talk to and have a video interview with one Carson City local every quarter. So we will launch with our first one, and that is going to be conducted by us. We'll go out, we'll interview somebody, get that video of them and edit it, and then basically have a detail page, a blog post that is a transcript of that interview. So nothing shows the beauty and pride of Carson City like a local speaking to it. And I think that's a huge draw for people having a reason to visit here, is really hearing it from you guys. So we wanted to make sure that that had a very prominent spot on this homepage to get people into that. Moving down, we have shared experiences. So this is our user-generated content. It will be pulling in the Carson City Tourism Instagram feed that Lydia already is curating. So this brings in a different flavor of photography and just has a little bit more of an organic feel to it in comparison to the other curated photography that we have on the site. And then you will be able to click through on these images and get the captions so that you can get the context of what is going on there. And hopefully we'll get a few more followers to those accounts as well. As we continue to scroll, we get into our featured articles. So this is essentially our blog content. And this is another area that will be continually refreshed, and we'll be able to feature certain things. So thinking about seasonality or any, upcoming attractions, or wanting to focus on anything in particular, that's where we would do that, is here. And then we get into events specifically. So that is over on the right. That will be upcoming events based on the date that you are on the site. It'll be the most recent upcoming events to you. And then we get into the footer of the page. So in the footer, you typically just want to repeat your navigation so that if somebody, with the nav will be sticky, so you'll have that entry point into your main pages. But this is typically where people are just looking for a repetition of your navigation. We do have some of the detail pages for industry partners, and then that's where we put in our social links and have the ability for people to subscribe to our newsletter. So I will scroll back up to the top and we can go through it, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
I think it looks great. I think you've definitely touched on the items that were important to us. I think it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful site.
No, from where we started, a couple months ago, and, it touches on our brand pillars and what we think are important and to the people in Carson. And, I think it's got a great look to it, and we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no other questions for Jenna.
I guess I'll ask, we hope that December, this will be a finished product that we can.
We're striving to have this launched by the end of the calendar year, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this will give us the direction now, I think, that the developers need to start building out the website at this point. So it starts to look like an actual website with all the functionality and hovering and videos playing and links clicking into the secondary and tertiary pages on the website. So, And the one thing I just wanted to add something about the itineraries. With the integration of the itineraries in the actual body of the page, that gives us flexibility. So if you're in a section where you might be looking at arts, or you're looking at a particular biking, let's say, the itineraries can follow. So they're kind of sticky. I don't know if that's the right word, Jenna, but they'll follow you wherever you are on the website. So you have the day trip, you might have a 2-day, a 3-day, right? So by integrating it in the body of the homepage, the element can, or whatever it is called, Elementor is the tool we're using, I think, allows us to kind of have those itineraries follow people throughout the website, right? So it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're an arts person, history person, those itineraries, maybe museums, Stewart Indian Facility, you're able to see them. They'll come up on those deeper pages within the website. So I like that idea. Rather than simply putting itineraries in the top nav as just something you could click on. I think people are visual, right? And if you see these itineraries and the images draw you in to click on that and then see those details, I think that's a better way to engage people.
No, I agree. The visual part of it, I think, is the best part of it, instead of having the navigation page. And you're right, the ease of use. And that's what we wanted. That was some of our goals when we started this project. And it's coming to fruition, so thank you. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. On the map section there?
Yeah.
Are these just gonna be the key ones that we're gonna put up, or is there gonna be some others that we can add in there?
Funny you should ask that. Board Member Santos asked the same question about maybe going a little further south and looking at exploring Topaz, perhaps, identifying Genoa specifically or separate from Minden. This was sort of a first crack, at kind of laying it out for all of you before we start a deep dive on programming, but we can certainly look at adding other locations. Tahoe, we specifically identified as the Carson City portion of Lake Tahoe, but certainly there's North Shore, there's South Shore, East Shore, West Shore of the lake. So I think we definitely can look into expanding the functionality of the map, and I think that's a critical part of what people use for planning purposes, right? Is if we're going to hub out in Carson City and we're the center point, what can they do, within an hour? What's a 2-hour drive? What's a loop look like? So we're definitely, I don't want to speak for these guys, but we did talk a little bit about additional locations and just the idea of having some more detail. Carson Valley, break that out a little bit more, right, on the map. So we can certainly look at that, yes.
As long as they have to stay in Carson.
That's the disclaimer on the bottom of the
Yes.
website.
Yeah.
Or
You get 'em
we
too far
terminate
south and
their session, yeah.
Yeah.
Just one more comment too. So, we're very fortunate to have 4 seasons here. And I would imagine that during this process, that as those seasons come, we'll be capturing some of those beauties that we have here and rotating those in, right? Okay.
Yes, correct. Yeah, we plan on doing that. We're going to start, obviously, this fall, get some seasonal shots, and that will include the lake as well, based on the feedback from, if not last meeting, the meeting before. Member Giomi mentioned about having some wonderful shots in Carson City County at Lake Tahoe, and we plan on working that in with Mr. Dow's schedule to have those high-quality professional shots. And we've also, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself with the GoPro, but anyway. We fully plan on integrating the 4 seasons into the website, so it makes sense. As you're coming into the winter, you're seeing some cool winter pictures and getting excited because the snow is starting to fall up on Mount Rose and the high peaks, so yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll to the very top, that video, you can switch out. You'll have the opportunity to switch out. So as we're getting into the fall, like this could be the fall foliage scenes where we're cutting to the reel. Then when we get into the winter, then we can be able to focus on skiing. And then as the spring and summer comes up, really focusing on what there is to do on the outdoor side. So definitely editable and something that we could change out from season based off the content that we have at our fingertips.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your hard work. All right, moving on to item 8, presentation only, the CTA media plan. Lydia, I think you have something for us.
I do.
hoping you can see this, but you also have it in your board packet. So we have a formal media budget put together. I want to just have a disclaimer that take this with a grain of salt because it can change and probably will change, especially when we get into the website and the more functionality. Some dollars might be moving more to search or display and retargeting, just depending on the feedback that we're getting. But this is the formal plan that we have so far going through the end of this fiscal year into June. So we have it broken out into a few different categories. And I did find an error, and I will send you an updated one, but this bottom right did not incorporate this last $25,500, but the total on the bottom here is correct. So we do have a total budget that we can spend of about $150,000 for our media budget and media spend alone. And we have it broken out first into search. So this is what we're using for our Google Ads on search. This is how people find us and will be one of our biggest budgetary items so that people can get to Carson City and find what they're looking for very easily. So for the fiscal year total, we have about $40,000 set aside for search. Display and retargeting, this is where it's really going to start increasing once we get the site more functional, where we can follow people around on the internet in a more basic term. So we can retarget them, we can show them more display ads and videos and things like that that will allow them to keep thinking about Carson City instead of just finding us once and leaving.
So the expense goes up as the site becomes more functional.
And then we'll have more data on the people as well, so that way we'll be able to target them more accurately, because right now we're pretty much guessing and sending them to landing pages where they're just leaving immediately. So that's why you see a very skimmed budget until November and December. We really just don't want to waste money sending people where they're not staying, which is why we also have a little bit higher social budget for this one, because this is where they can actually engage with a post and really be engaging with our page. So we'll see those numbers come probably July of next year, it starts changing out, but this is the plan so far. When you see TrueView and video, that's advertising on YouTube and through Google. So that's not social media video advertising, that's truly targeted video advertising. And so we have some ads running right now for Nevada Day. We had those promo videos that I showed a couple months ago. Those were just running and just ended, and we swapped a couple of out. And then we have our social spend, which we're looking at about $32,000 for the year for social, so we can continue that engagement and start driving people to stay engaged with us, and then eventually we can use those ads through Google to target them and share those audiences together. And then for print advertisement, we have some contracts that are rolling over. We're pretty heavy in print, probably more than I would like to be. But we do have some projects in the works that are eating up a lot of this budget that go beyond just a print advertisement. So moving forward with print, we want to make sure there's always a digital component with that as well, instead of just an ad in a piece of paper that people might only see once. This will allow us to retarget them later on their computer or phone. And then our influencer content. So this isn't just people that we're bringing in for small fam tours. This is also what we're working with PR for KPS3. So these are travel writers, bloggers, and you'll see our PR update in some of the articles that have been written up on us already. And we'll be able to bring people into Carson City with a very reputable magazines as well, in addition to the influencers that we've been doing too. So our influencer content is pretty heavy on that to be able to pull those off. Because we are smaller, we have a harder time, being able to comp a lot of things. So we put a pretty large budget to that to really start getting that press ramped up before this site launches and be able to tie everything together. And so we have about $25,500 for that, which puts us just under the $150,000 mark. But this might change, depending on what's happening with the site, but also what we find is working, because it's kind of an unknown right now. But any questions on that?
There might be some savings in print ads.
Yes.
Definitely, right? So that will give you
Yeah, and I could talk about the Getaway magazine is kind of a project in the works. So that's not 100%, which is the largest part of that print budget. But that is actually rebranding the entire magazine instead of saying Reno Tahoe to potentially Reno Tahoe Carson City.
and having featured a section of Carson City that's also could potentially go into Sacramento. So that is a large project that's not just a print piece. But like I said, that is kind of still very much in the works and not a set deal. But we wanted to have that budget set aside just in case that does happen within this calendar year or this fiscal year. Any other questions? All right. One other page that we have here is just so you can see what we're running and when. So hard to see on the screen, but this has all of our months in our fiscal year and when we'll be running what. So video for us is going to run all year long. And then our Google ads will definitely be for search be running all year long. And then depending on where you see this break in the retargeting and audio extension networks, things like that, we'll probably be ramping that up in March when people start planning again and after we have some data from the site. And then social, I'm looking into playing around with some Twitter ads and potentially Pinterest because I think we have the most work to do on those two channels. But for Instagram and Facebook, where most of our ads are run, those are going to run year long. And then we'll see, depending on where the budget is and what's working, where we'll run in the other social channels. And then for the content and influencers, these are our planned estimated times when we think that we'll be having people come into Carson City for a tour. And then the last is the heavy print, which is when we're planning on running in each publication.
I do have a question. What is Sprout Social?
So Sprout Social is a tool that allows me to plan all of the content for social media ahead of time and schedule the post. And it is a lifesaver. And it also runs all of the reporting for us as well. So
It looks like it's an annual contract.
It is.
And then, okay.
It is.
Are there did we buy, or are we buying a particular level of that?
It's just one level for Sprout Social. And there's a discount if you pay for the whole year ahead of time, which is where you'll see that probably in the PCard charges too. So it's just one upfront, and it's relatively pretty affordable, and sure saves a lot of time and helps with a lot of time management for sure.
Okay.
And Trish, if I could just, it's technically not a contract, it's just a subscription based service. So that's why nothing's come in front as a contract or anything.
Okay.
It just goes on the PCard. It's like a 12-month subscription price, prepay, get a discount, all that good stuff.
All right. Cool. Thank
And
you.
you manage it and schedule it and
You do.
make your life easier.
It does, very much so. So we'll sit down and usually, a morning, a few hours a week is planned out for scheduling a week or two ahead of time, going through all the events and the posts that we need to promote and what's happening. And then I can schedule that and it will schedule it on all of the social channels for me. So I don't have to go into each individual one and do it, which is really nice. Any other questions? And I'll send you an updated one without that error on the bottom. I apologize for that, but the FY20 breakdown on the bottom is accurate as far as percent of budget and the total budget. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Liddy. Moving on to 9, possible action discussion regarding CTA statement of accounts payable checks and PCard report for July 2019. And I might, if you're looking at this and you're going to see that you probably don't recognize it. It looks completely different than what we've been used to. We're working with a new accounting system, which I'm not quite sure we've figured out completely yet, but we're working on it. So, but with David, I'll let you start. But it's I apologize if it looks a little convoluted, but we'll get used to it.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Jones. So the city went forward with the new Tyler Munis accounting software package on July 1st. And so this is a first look at some reporting, and Chris is, still has most of her hair left. She's been tearing her hair out a little bit, trying to pull this data down, work with the city, and they've been great about it to help identify our specific needs, obviously, because we have a lot of grants that we apply for. So we have to position the different costs, with what's grant funded, what's regular TOT dollars. So what you see in front of you may not be what we land on as far as a final looking report. We're working with Sherry and her team to replicate what the Board of Supervisors can see and has visibility to during their meetings. But hopefully, next couple of months, we'll kind of have everything figured out. And the goal here at the end of the day is to hopefully not duplicate, run a parallel accounting system to put the reports together, because as you're well aware, the other reports were something that Chris was having to create in Excel, take it out of the old accounting system and put it into Excel. And our goal is to try and work with the reporting functionality that's in Tyler Munis. We know that there's a customizable reporting function, so we're gonna see if we can't come up with something that doesn't allow for this duplication of work, right? And then errors happen when you're trying to key stuff into Excel and sort of reformat everything. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who understands this far better than I do, to walk the board through the checks payable and the PCard payments in terms of the way that this report shows them. Thank you.
So you're doing double duty, Chris? Is that what you're taking it from one report and putting it in another?
Right, yeah, so Chris Kipp, Finance and Operations Manager. This report's coming right out of the system. It's an invoice listing, because if I try to run a check listing, you're gonna get all the city checks rather than just ours. We've run into a couple issues in here that we're working on cleaning up, but I'm just gonna run right through, and so if you guys have questions, just stop me and holler. Right off the top, the first one, and these are actually, the way this report works, these are all the invoices that were paid July 1 through July 31st. These are actually, for whatever reason, this is run by what account a general ledger account we're putting in. That's not like by vendor or anything like that. So that's why this is gonna go a little bit all over the place. The first one is the Carson City Square. We actually do have a duplicate invoice in there for July, so we'll be working with the city to get that one cleaned up. The other two are for July and August. Next one down is the ice storage. That's our storage unit that houses all of our records and supplies in the marketing vehicle. That's July and August. The next one down is Pitney Bowes. The reason you see two there is we're on the end of fiscal year 19 and the beginning of fiscal 20. We're using two different software systems, so the city is having us notice which one's fiscal 19 versus 20, because then they're gonna have to go back and key it all into the old system. So this Pitney Bowes that you see there, the split is for our postage machine for April 29th through July 28th is what that time frame is for that, $195. The next one down is traveler's insurance. That covers like the our stuff that's in the building, the marketing vehicle, covers not the workers' comp part of the employees, but if something happens while we're out at a show or things like that. So this is $6,464. I believe we have about $3,000 more left for the year, which you'll probably see on next month's payment. Next one down is Reno Tahoe Territories. That's our membership to the territory with the partners with the state and Tahoe and Reno and Carson Valley and all that, Virginia City and such. Next one down, the next one you're gonna see is another ice storage. These, it's a late fee. When the city moved to the new system, there was a time frame where we couldn't enter invoices in the old system or the new system. So it's kind of one of those things that just, it's done and we're moving on. Same thing with Conica. The Conica ones, I believe one of those is the insurance payment. And on Conica, we did get our refund check back, so we're cruising now with them. They've been really good about giving us a new due date. We have 45 days to pay instead of 30, so we're cruising on with them. The next one down is Nevada Department of Business. There's two of these as well. It's one of the batches got duplicated, so all of these duplicates will get cleaned up. That one is a fee. We had to pay a certain percentage for every government employee we have in our office. Not sure why, but purchase power finance charge is the next one. The next one after that is Sierra Nevada Media Group. These all three were for the legal notices for our fiscal 19 budget audit. We have to put it in the paper. On page 3 of 8, NV Energy, that runs from May 31st to June 28th. That's another one of those fiscal year 19 deals. The next one down is Carson City Square. That's our rent. They charge us for the heating. They get the bill and then bill us back. Next one down is Nevada Department of Taxation. That's our payment for May of 2019. We have Monarch Direct. That is for bike route posters for Epic Rides. I believe our printer was down, so Monarch saved us. Resource Concepts is the next one down. That is for wildlife and botanical surveys for the bike trails. That was just the billing through June 30th on that. Next one down, Geography Creative. That is for some of the influencers. It was Breezy Turner that Lydia was working with. I believe, was that around Epic Ride time she was there?
No, she actually came in July.
Oh, July,
and she came
okay.
for the Taste of Downtown.
Oh, that's right. Then we have Catherine Cox. She was a designer that's working on like itineraries and other stuff, a designer that Lydia was trying out to, get a different feel and look for some of our stuff. Next one down after that is Certified Folders. That's our contract for the year for July 1 through June 30th of 2020 for all the distribution of our brochures. Lydia kind of expanded it out. We're going out I-80 in northern Nevada. We're also going into Sacramento. So you'll see this part because it's part of a grant too. So some of it we're paying for and some of it state grants paying for it. Lake Tahoe, Reno area and all that.
And just to add one thing too, we get a discount through Ray Fox with Certified on a prepayment basis, right? Rather than paying per month. So anytime we can take advantage. I want to say it's 20%, but Lydia, do you remember? It's between 10 and 20%, I believe, is our discount.
It is, it's 12.
Or 12, okay. I was close, somewhere in the range, but yeah. So that's why you're seeing a lump sum payment here at the beginning of the fiscal year.
And then we have computer artistry. Some of it was for June, some for July. Tara's still doing the design work for posters and events and such like that, tickets and things. Next one down is KPS 3. That was rounding out the end of the fiscal year. Page 4. Konica Minolta, that's for the actual rental. Some of that's fiscal 19 and some of that's fiscal 20, just by the billing cycle. Carson Now, there's another duplicate invoice in there. The $234 is duplicated. But the others are for July and August. Vital Signs, the first one you'll see in two different places because we split it GL-wise. Some of it was but they're all for stickers. And then the next one's for banners. Controlled Burn was entertainment at Epic Rides. Veritiv is paper for our posters and flyers and such. First Choice is for coffee and water and everything that we have at the visitor center for the guests. Page 5 is more of that Vital Signs. It's part of the grant. Part of those stickers went towards a grant. Let's see. Next one down, Captain Gallivant. That is the pirate ship that was at Epic Rides. Some of the entertainment. Kyle Miller was a sound guy and takes care of some of the bands. And then James has a reimbursement for some of his expenses that he picked up at Epic Rides, and we were just reimbursing him for that. Some more computer artistry is in there. And then we have She Sends Racing. It's a marketing campaign around Epic, right? She Sends Racing?
I am not super familiar with that one, I'm sorry.
I'll have to pull that one out. But did you guys have any questions on any of the other ones?
No.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. That is Kate Courtney's. That was the influencer that current World Cup champion again. And she came in and we paid her to do some Instagram work while she was here riding for Epic Rides. Sorry, I couldn't remember that her W9 goes by that. So thank you.
Explains.
And then just a heads up, obviously, for the next meeting, we were still paying bills in August, right? Based on, there's a closing period there, the second or third week in August for fiscal 19. So next month, when we're looking at the August checks payable, it'll be kind of the same situation. Some of these invoices are finishing off obligations for fiscal 19. So when September rolls around, that's clean, only fiscal 20 bills. So I just wanted to just be clear about that. It's a couple of months, right, during the transition from one fiscal year to the next.
Okay, so the next page, you see page 6, this is where the P-card statements come in. These look different as well because now they're lumping them all into the system. And as we're going through this learning curve, the city brings them in as a PCard OTF vendor. And if I have a W-9 for each vendor that we charge on a PCard, they'll change it and put a vendor in. If not, it will show up as a PCard vendor. So I'm going to try to find ways to change the description a little bit when I key them in so that you guys have a clue what these really are. But for today, we're just going to talk about them. So the first card is mine. There's Verizon for the wireless phones and for the tablets that they take out to the events. ADT for the security. Adobe is for the Creative Suite. MailChimp for newsletters. The TTRA 2019 MOF full registration was.
That's Marketing Outlook Forum, so that's a conference that Lydia attended.
And then the iStorage unit, this little $88 one is for the parking space for the marketing vehicles trailer. But we sold the trailer and we got rid of that bill. So that's it for my card. And then underneath there, it just is breaking it out by, the cost codes, basically. The next one down is Linda's. So the first one for shipping, that was like FedEx. The next two were the United States Postal Service for certified. That's us sending out all those notifications of the 2% discount going away. We send them certified to everybody. So page 7 is David's first card. David has 2 cards. One of them's his P card that he uses. The other one is for all the media buys, so that those are kept separate. So the first one, the influencer marketing host. Do you want to expand on that one?
Yeah, so I can cover these charges, absolutely. So those were hotel charges, the first 2 that you see for $76.59 for an influencer. And then we had a meeting, I met with the interim director of Travel Nevada regarding the Reno balloon races, which we'll talk about a little later, taking over that booth. And then my charges, the next, 6, that is the DMA West Leadership Summit that I was at. So some food costs in there, and then the big one, of course, is for the lodging at the property. And then, as Chris said, below that is just the sort of how they allocate things by GL. The second card for me is, again, specific to the media buys. So our Facebook and the Google ads, because they don't accept checks or form of payment unless you have a credit card, right? And so that's where all of the charges show up, is under this second credit card. And the idea there was just to keep them separate from my regular expenses that might come up during the month, and it was a way that we could have some transparency and accountability for all things media. Chris, if I can just go to the next page, you will see on Lydia's P card, there is a half-page ad for the American Sports Journal for $1,275. Normally, that would be underneath my card, but they didn't swap the credit card numbers out in time before it charged, so it actually hit Lydia's card. So that's obviously that's been fixed now. Do you want me to walk through? Oh, okay. So for Lydia, she was at the Marketing Outlook Forum, and so obviously her P card charges are on this particular card. And then when she's also hosting influencers, right, she is putting those charges on her P card. And yeah, and then the toolkit was on there, which is just a small amount. Subtotals below, again, by GL. And then the last P card is for James. And he had some event meal cost on there. And then, as you all know, we're obligated to cover lodging for the staff of Epic. And that's what that $1,224.58 is. The $1,263, that is for NTA. So that's the prorated membership for this fiscal year, I believe. So it's like a prorated amount because we only started this after the fiscal year began. So that's the NTA DMO membership price for us, which is what is allowing us to attend NTA in Fort Worth in December to work on the motor coach end of things. So, and then again, it just totals up by the GL below that.
Any questions from the board? So all media buys will go on. That's all we'll see on that second card?
Yeah,
If there's anything else on there, then we come talk to you?
Yeah. Or Lydia, because she knows the number too.
Or they,
Yeah, no, the only thing that will ever be on that card is a media buy. Absolutely, and by media buy, paid media buy. So I'm not going to be, if I had an influencer and Lydia wasn't here, I'm not going to put those costs on that particular P card. It's specifically to buying paid advertising is the only thing that goes on that particular P card, yes.
I'm sorry, the DMO membership that went on James's card. Well,
Yeah, that was.
Is that where it should go, or should it go under, I don't know.
Well, I suppose it could have went under my card, but I wanted him to have the ownership, of NTA and the motor coach. Plus, he's the primary listed on the membership, and then I'm on there as a secondary because he'll be that contact moving forward. So it made sense for it to be with his cards because he actually built out our entire profile. And Lydia helped with that as well. So we have an online profile with NTA in terms of the motor coach people, right, when we go to the appointments. So it just made sense when he built this out. It was his name, his card. Otherwise, I would have had to have been on there and then take me back off to put him on. So I thought it made sense. And he had the authority on his card to be able to do that. Occasionally, he may not, but he did that month, just depending on charges. And if that ever comes up, then I can certainly put it on my P card, if he's pushing the limit on his.
Any other questions from the board? If not, can I get a motion?
It's different, all right, but we're getting there.
All right, I move to approve the CTA account activity statement of accounts payable and P card charges for July 2019.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. On to item 10, budget report. I think this is going to be Chris also, but if David, you have to chime in where necessary?
Yeah, I'll just tee it up for Chris, if that's okay. So we had planned on presenting the fiscal 19 in terms of where things landed, but the finality, I guess, of fiscal 19 doesn't happen until next week. So we will present this in October. I'll let Chris do a little more explanation in terms of the process and where the city is at with that and what has to happen with all these charges that have to come out of the new system and go into the old system. But I just wanted you to know, if we could have, we would have presented the fiscal year final expenses. But I'll let Chris kind of talk the board through why we couldn't today, but we will hopefully be able to do that in October. Thanks.
Yeah, I think you put it in a nutshell. They usually close on August 15th and finalize on August 30th, but with the new system, they're behind. So they're closing on September 15th will be the last time people can enter for fiscal 19. And then by September 30th, they should have all the entries for fiscal 19 out of the new system and keyed into the old system so we can get all the reporting. I'm working with our auditors for fiscal year 19 right now, probably all next week, and then they're gonna wait and come in October. The Beth Cohn, who you guys said, I think it was a few meetings back, we chose her for our auditor. She's going to come in and work with me to finish out 19, so she'll bring her report in November, the final audit. But I'll be able to give you guys the final numbers, and I think probably the first numbers for fiscal 22, we should be able to have that, depending on time for the other parts.
So there's really nothing to approve today, that'll get moved to October. All right, so let's move on to 11, monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only. David, executive update, director.
Thank you, Chair Jones. So on the CTA staff front, we do have a little bit of a change. So Shauna has decided to resume her undergraduate degree at UNR. And so as a result of her school schedule, she is going to be part-time, well, she is as of a week and a half ago, but she's in a part-time role, or as of today, in a part-time role officially. So that means she will be working the afternoons on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then she'll be working all day on Saturday. So now we'll be open in terms of the visitor center every weekend, unless it's a holiday or something along those lines. So what's exciting about this, for Lydia, is it's created an opportunity now by taking Shauna and putting her over in the office assistant position that, say that again? Yeah, the visitor center position, which is what Dia Mitten, our intern from TMCC, was in. It's opened up the door now for us to release, which just happened maybe an hour or so ago, a multimedia content coordinator position that will report directly to Lydia. So as you've heard, she has quite a workload, right, in terms of the tactical day-to-day things related to social media. So this position it will also support shooting, production, and editing of video, so our content, to be used on the social media channels, to be used on the website as well. They'll manage, or well, I shouldn't say manage, but assist Lydia with creating content and landing pages on the website. So as we spool up campaigns, we might want to have specific landing pages that we'll be able to track back to a particular campaign that we're running. And then really where I think they'll help Lydia as well is sort of those day-to-day, the postings, working with the Sprout Social and kind of setting everything up, right, and responding to posts and interacting with visitors or potential visitors. So I just wanted the board to know what has transpired. So we're kind of taking, the loss of Shauna from a full-time into a part-time role, but we've been able to work this out budgetarily. With Dia having finished her internship, so the timing of this kind of all things kind of came together, I guess, nicely to allow us to get a second position worked out of this from a marketing perspective, to really give Lydia the support that I know for a fact she needs today, probably needed 5 months ago, and will absolutely need with the new website, coming online. And then you've seen what happens with our marketing efforts, right, that they ramp up to coincide with the new website in January. So that's the first thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention. And then the second thing that we are working on right now, so second cycle, fiscal 20 marketing grants are due 5 p.m. on the 27th to the Nevada Commission on Tourism. And I'll be working, we have been working, I will continue working with the team, James, Lydia, Chris, next week to finalize our submissions. So right now we're looking at grants around special events marketing, web usability research as it relates to the new website that would launch at the end of the year. So I'd like to see if we could get a grant to assist us with some one-on-one technology, online technology, where you can actually engage visitors, whether they've been to the site or not, been to Carson City or not, but to give them tasks, right? And you can, I think it's a great, inexpensive way to do some qualitative testing around a website and what's the functionality look like, the usability of your website. So we're going to put a grant forth for that. The third one that we're looking at is for traditional travel writers. So we've talked a lot about influencers, right, already at this meeting and in past meetings, but to bring in some traditional travel writers and do a fam tour. And what I'm hoping, depending on, the dollars that are going to be available for this, but I'm hoping that we can grab some people from the different DMAs that we've been talking about marketing to. So the Portlands, the Salt Lake Cities, Phoenix, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, perhaps, but to bring in some traditional journalists from those particular cities. And the focus is just going to be Carson City, and then obviously we'll work in surrounding areas, but that center point concept. So I think being on point with our brand, having these people stay and engage with our activities here in Carson City. And then the fourth one that we're looking at too, working with Elaine, potentially Denny Dotson at the Virginia City Tourism Corporation, but to put an event together and some promotion around the 150th anniversary of the V&T Railroad. Right, so I think that'll be for next spring, right, with the kickoff of the trains starting to run. But doing a collaborative grant between the three of us, and we're working on figuring out what that will look like and the responsibilities and everything that would be associated with that. So those are the 4 grants that we're focusing on. This is the second cycle, so hypothetically, out of the $1,650,000 that the Commission on Tourism expends for marketing grants, there's about 600 and something thousand left. So the first cycle was a little over $1 million that were expended. So I think we've got some great ideas. So and I feel pretty good about those grants that we're going to move forward. So the third thing, and I'm super happy to say we finally have the dining guide printed out. Thank you, Mike, for helping us on that. And this is ready for distribution. We did a small run of these initially. And Lydia, again, did an amazing job, but this was actually, I think, really a team effort. Chris stepped in, Shauna stepped in, Linda, James, to kind of retool the guide and I think to make it a better looking piece. We had some great feedback from Taste of Downtown, Lisa Lee. We had her take a look at it and some other folks as well, just to see if we were on point with the guide. And so I'm excited to say we have this and we're going to start some distribution on it immediately. If I could switch gears a little bit to FAM Tour. So we have a new opportunity next week. Kind of excited about this one as well. So through the Regional Air Service Corporation, they use the Abbey Agency as their PR firm. They are bringing a group of journalists/influencers from the Houston area. So I'm sure you're all aware that the Houston daily flight is now year-round. So it's not seasonal, and it's going to be a year-round daily flight from Houston, which I think is a great opportunity, yes, the Houston market, but more importantly, that is such a hub for other one-stops, right, that come into Houston. I think it opens up the doors to the southeast of this country, to this entire area. So these folks are going to be here next week. We get them for a few hours on Tuesday morning. So the plan right now, we're going to actually take them up to Kings Canyon, to the waterfall. We're going to do the hour loop, I think, the longer loop. I'm going to try to keep up with Lydia as best I can, but I'll have a rope attached to her, so she has to pull me, on the steep parts. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do sort of a truncated Kit Carson trail walk. So these folks, and I give Lydia props here for taking a look at their Instagram following and their who follows them, on Facebook and what they write about and who their audience is and what the activities are that they like to do. And these are outdoorsy people in this case. So we've kind of retooled what was asked of us to be something that we think would be more appropriate for these folks. Right now, 3, maybe 4 journalists who are coming. So that is next Tuesday. And so that's something new that has just come up. And then I just want to remind everybody again, we do have on Saturday the 28th and the 29th, that's the group from Australia, Canada, and Mexico. So those are tour operators and travel agents. We have nailed down the specific activities. Now we are going to do the Railroad Museum on that Saturday afternoon, and I want to say thanks to Dan and the team. They are going to run a special train for us. So they're going to, I don't know if they're going to pull the McKean car out or the Glenbrook. I'm hoping maybe it'll be the McKean car because I think it's just such an amazing a piece of history. But we'll kind of get the behind the scenes tour as well, get back with the number 47, the French car in the back, and expose these folks to the history of the railroad here in Carson City and, again, what it means to Nevada, just in a greater sense. And then it works out very nice, and again, I thank Lydia for bringing these ideas up. Oktoberfest is that weekend, right? So we've got Oktoberfest going on, and then we're going to get them on a ghost walk as well, which I think is going to play out very nicely with this particular group. And then we're also going to do a Kings Canyon waterfall the following morning, and then they will do the Carson Hot Springs as well. So they seem to be pretty excited about that before they head off to Washoe County. So that is just an update in terms of the specific activities. And again, I want to thank Travel Nevada on this front for thinking of Carson City and incorporating us into that tour. And then the last one still that hangs out there is in October, middle of October, with the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, as well as Travel Nevada. And that's for a group of Chinese tour operators and travel agents that will be coming in. And that's a part of the whole Highway 50 passport. So these folks are going all the way out to Ely, right? So we're sort of the kickoff, the launching point for these folks. So right now, I think where we're at with that is breakfast at the Nevada State Railroad Museum, and then we're going to move on to the Capitol because the Chinese love our Capitol buildings and government buildings that they don't have access to in their own country. And so I think we'll do a nice tour over there. Third option in there is the Mint, and I'm thinking about this, trying to figure out with the truncated time that we have, because literally they're taking off on Highway 50 toward the latter part of that morning, but to maybe see if we could work them in and get them in front of the Mint, and I'm thinking maybe do coins for them on the press. So that is my update for this month, and I'll entertain any questions.
I actually do have one. So the dining guide, which looks amazing. I'm kind of curious as how often we update this, because in looking at it, I see 2 restaurants that we don't have anymore. And I know in dining, it's a constant cycle, but what is
We purposefully did a small run of these. So I think we did maybe 200, 250, if that. We went back and forth a lot, but as soon as we run out of those, we'll make the edits. It's really easy to do, so.
it's the hand of food service in restaurants. So, I mean, a lot of times these are always somewhat outdated, but I didn't know if we made a big run for like a year or.
No,
Okay.
we, just to test it out, we did a small run, but.
Awesome. I mean, it looks
Very
great.
reason,
I
and
just-
that was Lydia's idea. She's like, Dave,
I
I
was
think you want to
very
print too
nervous
many.
about that.
And I said, I think you're right now after seeing the 2 restaurants close. So yeah, she was right. Again, yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to say Yahoo. As president for the Downtown Business Association, we have been asked by residents, they call me, they ask me, why don't we have one of these things? So this is great, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, and it is, it's a tough position to be in to not look like you're playing favorites, and we by no means did that in any way, but we just found where the best stories that we could at the time. And so we hope to rotate those featured articles and get as many people featured as possible. So if there is anyone watching, that is the plan. But for now, this is our first run, and there'll be many edits. And hopefully this will be a living document, and maybe even the format will change so it's more rackable and we can distribute it more easily. But this was kind of something we had kind of established, and so we ran with it for this go around.
And I think that's a great idea about rotating the stories too. That keeps everybody, happy. All right. Any other questions for David? All right. Transient occupancy report, Chris?
That's actually going to be me. Yeah, even though I talked over Chris on the last
Chris's
agenda item.
second
Yeah,
P
I'm
card.
Chris's assistant. Yeah, I know, since it was my idea to include this. No, I just thought it would be good for the board to see how fiscal 19 ended. Because this information we do know to be final in terms of the revenue. This is everything that we collected from all of the properties for the 12 months of business activity ending June 30th. So I'll hit the highlights. In terms of total room revenue for the fiscal year, just under 2.15 million as compared to 2.066 million in 2018. So that was an increase of just under $82,000 or 3.95%. And I think what I also like to see is our rates. So our daily rates in terms of dollars plus minus, we're up $4.78 on the top 5, $5.69 on the top 6 to 13 properties, and those reflect 4.5 and 9.6% increases for each of those 2019 as compared to 2018. So I think that's great. We've got some demand coming in, the rates are going up, which I think is fantastic. In terms of calendar year, so how these reports work, because I know we haven't had these on in a couple of months. So when you're looking at the second set of boxes, that's the calendar year. That's the first 6 months of the calendar year. So it's January through June 2019 as compared to January through June 2018. So that's what that $1.1 million and 13.34% increase reflects. And then on a fiscal year basis, again, this is the total, right, for the fiscal year. So we just under, right? So that when I was talking about the up top, that was the month of June. This is for the whole fiscal year. So June looked good, but for the whole fiscal year, we were down 0.21%. But if you recall where we were at 5 months into the fiscal year, we were down almost 20-something%. So I'm pleased to see that we came back within a percentage point on the fiscal year to fiscal year comparison basis.
Yeah, the market came back.
It did.
After, and got very close to 18, which was a very nice year. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and then down below on the next set of boxes, again, this is looking at January through June, and then July of 2017, through 2018. So that's just taking a look at 18 versus 17, and then fiscal 18 versus fiscal 17, full fiscal year. So when you see the big numbers, the 20-something millions, those are always the full fiscal year comparisons. If you're looking at a couple $1 million, that's for the month that we're specifically talking about. And then RevPAR, up $2.65, which is about 4.8% when looking at 2019 versus 2018. And then on the back side of your sheet, you will see June's rooms available and then the rooms occupied. So interestingly enough, we were, down a little bit in terms of the room nights occupied, but the rate is what carried us to that plus 3.95% for the month. So the ADR, even though fewer room nights, our rates carried us into the positive for the month of June. So I just felt it was important to sort of put some finality to fiscal 19's numbers as compared to 18. So that's again what this report is showcasing. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Managing their business a little better. All right, marketing and events update, Lydia?
All right. So we will start off with our just social media growth in general. So we are up 3% as far as follower growth goes. Mostly contributing to that is Facebook. So we gained about 363 followers between August 6th and September 6th, and then Instagram 73 and Twitter 26. This is our engagement rates, and you can see the total follower numbers here. This is just a snapshot of our three major pillars in social media. So we're at about 7,100 followers on Facebook. We're at about 4,100 on Instagram, and Twitter is 4,200. So we are getting a lot of engagements, and you can see our impressions, which is that kind of middle column. We're delivering about 400,000 impressions on Facebook in the last month, and about 50,000 in Instagram and 8,000 in Twitter. But we're also not paying to boost any ads on Twitter, so that's pretty common. So for the PR update, this is our report that we get from KPS3. So this month being August, we received a unique visitors per month of 26.1 million. We reached 2.6 million people, which contributed to a publicity value of $19.4 thousand. And this year to date through July, we've received 751,000 reach and a publicity value of $171,500. So below is the articles that contributed to these monthly UBPMs. And so we were featured in Carson Now, Pahrump Valley Times, the Mountain Democrat Online, an Open Suitcase, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Online, and then also Via Magazine, which was the largest contributor to these numbers. That's AAA's travel magazine. And we had a great feature for terrific train rides throughout the US, and the V&T was featured in that. So video and other promotions that are happening. I did want to show you guys some of the videos that are being produced by the influencers that come in. So they're not just doing a post on Instagram for us or an Instagram story. We are getting great content from them that we're reusing. One of these being the photo in the upper right-hand corner, and some throughout this presentation too. So one I wanted to show you was Wade Holland's video. He's the one featured in the upper right-hand corner. He's just kind of an outrageous dude is the best way to explain him, but he's really just a different personality than we see from a lot of people, and he created a really incredible video for us that I'd like for you guys to see, just so you get a taste of what's happening online and what we're promoting to try to capture that younger crowd that's more in the adventure scene. Make sure
What's up, everybody? So this week, Abby and I are out here in Carson City, Nevada, checking out all the awesome things you can do. Now, we're linking up with a handful of rad adventurers and content creators from around the country to use Carson City as the launching point for all of our adventures. We're gonna be skydiving, clear bottom kayaking at Lake Tahoe, checking out Brewfest, biking, hiking, secret waterfalls. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So, you know it, buckle up. Let's do this. So we're downtown Carson City, off McFadden Square at Capital City Brew Fest. It's popping off. Let's get some beer. 45 minutes from Carson City, you got that. So we're at an airfield where you can jump out of a plane. So, and more importantly, I got this tiger here with us too. Got a bunch of sweet adventures behind us. Stoked about that. And let's do some skydiving. Here, lady. Ah! My balls are already sweaty, dude. Yeah. So I'm feeling it already. Thanks for getting my tiger lady. Jump out of the plane.
She's a makeup artist, so we asked her to do something really fun for the skydive.
I'm loving life, brother. Yeah! Oh, so sick.
All right, what do you think? Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Wow. Oh, this is amazing. Wow.
We're just now here at Kings Canyon Waterfall. Want to go in? Yeah, it's gonna be freezing, but let's do it. Let's definitely go in. That's cold. That's cold. Oh! But come on, man, you're in the desert, so that's what you gotta do. Cheers, baby.
Cheers, honey. We got the fam. Beautiful night. Carson City is right down below us. Nothing more I could ask for.
What'd you think? Yeah, I think it's just really a unique video, and Wade just did an awesome job, and he gave us all rights to use that. We can also cut that. He gave us all of our drone footage. He was just an incredible partner to work with. Him and Abby were really fun. So that was all part of that June 22nd fam that I came in and talked about. Those are the adventures that we went on. Some of them did social media posts. Some of them did stories, did blog posts. We got to link it back to the website, and then Wade just provided that awesome video. So
No, that was exactly, fun, energy, exactly the kind of stuff I think we need to promote.
Yeah.
It just makes you want to come here.
I know. So we have that promoting on YouTube and on Facebook right now. And I wish I could show you the amount of detail and targeting that we can do in all the different states that we're in. So there's so many layers that go into the social advertising and the digital advertising, and utilizing great content like that just makes my job a lot easier too. So it's been a lot of fun. And then we also have the Nevada Day promo, which is only 30 seconds. So. Yeah, so that's a fun one too, that we are promoting for Nevada Day. You did notice that it says check out Visit Carson City for hotel deals. So we are reaching out to the local lodging properties to see if they want to provide a code that we can actually track back to see if we're driving room nights. And I'm trying to create that sense of urgency, book your hotel rooms now before they fill up, to really see if we can start driving some extra room nights, because it is more of a friends and family weekend. And we definitely have some room to improve there. So we're going to be reaching out to the lodging properties and hopefully get some on board for that, so we can drive them to a landing page that actually gives them codes that they can use to book. And then we, Chelsea Pearl was another vlogger. Hers is a pretty long video, but you can link that through the through there. And she kind of went to Carson City for a day trip, so that was a fun, unique aspect too. And then Robert just came in, and we just had Jeff Mosier gracefully took him all around Carson City. He's a mountain biker and a road cyclist, and they did a really fun tour and ate a sassafras, and he is a really big advocate for Carson City too. And so I think he really gave him a great experience. So new things coming.
Sorry, I think the one with, what's his name, Wade, is the perfect counterpart to Carson Closes at 9. And
Yes.
It's really old. It's like the perfect anti for that thought process.
It was such a fun weekend. I mean, Blinky Man was happening, and they went to karaoke at the Poorhouse. Like, it was a whole weekend of just fun, and I can't even. And I've read you one of Justin's emails, I think, after that trip, of just how much fun they had and the synergy that happened on that trip. So we're hoping to recreate that again in June with another influencer grant that we got, and hopefully, get some more of that. But we love Wade's style, and he's actually was an amateur skier as well as mogul skier. And so we're thinking about bringing him back for more of a winter aspect and kind of tying that all together, because I think that kind of synergy and consistency is really nice. Any other questions on that? All right, so new things coming, really exciting. So ESTO was the conference that I just got back from, which is all DMO marketing organizations that get together. And with the new website around the corner, we really need more digital aspects and more digital tours. It's really what families and millennials are looking for, is that virtual experience. And we are hopefully within the next month, we'll have a virtual tour of the Kit Carson Trail. Which will be embedded on the new website, and we can do that for free through Google Tour Creator, which is really exciting. So I can kind of walk you guys through that. I think it's a little bit too long today to do that, but all you need is a 360 camera, which is the GoPro that David was talking about. So GoPro Fusion takes 360 cameras. It's only like a $300 investment, and I can go out and shoot 360 video, and if we can get permissions to do that for the Ghost Walk on the 19th that opens all the homes, we might be able to actually get inside the homes and have photos of that too, which would be really exciting. But you can click on each home, and we can have things that pop up that tell them about each home on the tour, and it's going to be something that's going to be really fun. And I'm sure the first go around will have its bumps, but I'm sure we'll be able to perfect that so it looks like a really professional feature on our site too. So that's something that we're pretty excited about. And I just put this back on here again because I had this on my presentation last month. We kind of stuck through it, but went through it very quickly. But I wanted to go back to the sticker taps that are happening on Instagram. So when we bring people in, you can see when they tag us in their story. So say that Breeze was in town and she was staying at the St. Charles Hotel. The St. Charles doesn't, well, let's use Bliss Bungalow for an example. So Caitlin came in, she was a different influencer that was here for Epic Rides Weekend. She stayed at Bliss Bungalow. She actually tagged them in her post saying like, I'm at Bliss Bungalow. And then people can actually tap on that sticker and it will bring them to their page. And so we can actually see the stats of the people who are tapping on the lodging properties to see more about them. And that's a really powerful tool and a really powerful stat that I'm hoping I can get more as we get more down the road with this to show the lodging properties that when you do partner with us, we have stats to show you that people are interested in where these people are staying. And so, I mean, Caitlin's story alone just on one slide had 42 sticker taps. Breeze gets 5,000 views on each of her slides. She's very dog-friendly content. And the St. Charles had 37 just on that one. People were they do it for restaurants as well. So Scoops got a lot of taps after they gave her little pup a little puppy scoop of ice cream. And also Breeze went to the Kings Canyon waterfall trailhead, and that always gets a lot of sticker taps. So 72 people were interested in or 72 were interested in the trailhead, and 8 of them tapped on our Visit Carson City tag that was with them. So, I mean, these are just a few examples to show you what's happening online. And I went through some of these comments as well, but it is genuine interest. Love your stories from the weekend. The getaway looks like it was really fun. One person said, to be honest, I never had an interest in the area, but ever since your trip, I'm thinking it's on my list. Visit Carson City. Are there any direct flights from Chicago? And then, of course, we can say there sure are. Southwest to Reno. Yeah. So you can see I responded below and I'm monitoring all these things to see, what's happening and engaging in the conversation. Because it's just really important because people want to know that you care about them coming to your city. Everything, you look like so much fun. That's in Carson. What? So we're getting all these kind of comments, and these are even just more. We'll have to stop there on a road trip. Based on your post, we're definitely going to go check it out. Looked like a great weekend. Where in Carson is this? So people are really taking action on the posts. And one said, I had no idea that Carson was so close to Tahoe. It definitely looks like it's worth the trip. And these are just a tiny amount that we get from there. So any questions on the marketing side?
No, but this is just a testament to all your hard work.
It's been a lot of fun. And I definitely have had some help from, the agency that's helping us with building a lot of the back end of the ads. But it is a lot of monitoring and a lot of work. And so we're hoping that this content coordinator can help us drive our own video instead of having to pay to outsource it all the time. And so someone who can cut and edit video and help with the content, and I can still do the ad buying, but once this new website launches, it's really, the options are endless into what we can do. So we'll be building a mountain of content that is going to be specifically directed to everyone's interests, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and this is just a small piece of it, of what you've driven to Carson City.
I hope that's the case. Thank you.
Before,
Thanks.
right? And it's great.
The goal, once Lydia gets her new position, is to get her down to an 8-day work week. That's my commitment to her. Yeah, it's casino mentality, right?
Oh, geez.
As long as we pay her 8th day on your second peak.
But it was fun. James and I got to work the balloon races this last weekend, and it was really cool to be able to engage with the local community and be able to, push that material out. And so many people that came, and some people from Reno were like laughing, like, oh, why would I visit Carson City? Like, we could see them laughing by. And then a lot of people came up being like, oh, I didn't really know that there was a lot of things to do. And some people were like, I haven't been there in 50 years. So we probably engaged with almost 1,000 people over a 3-day weekend. And it was a lot of fun to see that. We gave away a lot of material, and it was fun to see. That's it for me. I think Dave is going to help with the events update if we have time to go through that.
Just a little bit of a recap. So I'm going to go through the events that most recently happened, and then we've still got some things coming up. So the Jukebox International Film Festival, that was back in August. There were 26 total films, 14 from the U.S., 12 international. The attendance, this is one where I think we can do some things to help them. By and large, it was the folks who were the filmmakers, right? Looking at each other's videos, and we're waiting from the event organizer for some additional data just to get some feedback on that. In terms of rooms, where those folks were staying. So there's just some of the images again from the film festival. And then, thank you, Lydia. Outlaw Flat Track Racing, also there toward the end of August. This is, again, only the riders, so not the spectators, but these are rider counts, 116 total riders, and then it breaks it down, 72 on Friday, 109 on Saturday. And then this is just a allocation of those riders, where these folks are coming from. So you've got people from California, Nevada, Idaho, Oregon, and then some folks we didn't get the data to identify where they were from Robert. And then here we go, perfect. And this just kind of breaks down geographically by region in California where those 65 riders came from. So you can see all of California is represented. by those riders. The next page is Nevadans. So Carson City, Minden, Reno, Sparks, Gardnerville. The estimate that we have from Robert is about 1,800 people. And if you guys recall, this now is a 2-day event. So it was 1 day before, now it's 2 days. So I think any concern about adding that second day and somehow negatively impacting Saturday by having Friday, I don't see that as being an issue, to be honest with you. So I think there's a pretty good count. Again, estimate for now, working with Robert to get the final numbers. And then, as Lydia mentioned, again, thanks to Travel Nevada and the Reno-Tahoe territory, I gave this wonderful opportunity to James and Lydia if they wanted to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, every morning. And then so you think, why is she coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? If she could start at 3, that's an extra 5 hours a day, 8 days a week. I'm just saying. So a big attendance. I think the attendance was actually more than the 160, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I heard 210 possibly,
Yeah,
but
the
we're waiting on
announcer
a.
said that over 240,000 people show up over 3 days.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. It's the largest free balloon event in the world.
Yep.
Great,
Yeah.
great exposure.
It was amazing exposure, and they did a great job. So set up Thursday. Lydia worked all 3 days. James was there Friday, Saturday. I came with to the event on Sunday. My hat's off to both of them for braving the elements in the early morning temperatures. So we did a raffle prize giveaway, which was great. And thanks to the partners who did respond to that. I really appreciate our partners chipping in. We had Highway 50 passports. We had luggage tags, the lip balm, little roller deal, stickers. We did the Travel Nevada statewide guides. They had a brand new piece as well, which was a road trips piece. And I wish we would have had another few hundred of those, quite frankly. They were gone, boom, almost immediately. And we had state maps. We had the state arts and culture guide as well, because it was a Travel Nevada booth at the end of the day. And James put a comment in here, the feedback we received, talking to people reaffirmed that we're on the right path, but we still have some education to do. And as Lydia was talking about, even these folks that live in Reno and Sparks and for some odd reason haven't been down to the Capitol in some time, not realizing that we've redone the downtown corridor, right, in Carson Street and Curry Street. We have new restaurants. So I spent a lot of time talking to people about that on Sunday morning too, as these guys did on Friday and Saturday. And oddly enough, people don't even know about our biking trails and the hiking trails as well. So they're just blown away when we whipped out a map from our special area of maps to show them the breadth and depth of our trails. I think they're just blown away that they could come down 25 minutes and ride those trails. So again, I just, my hat's off to the team for doing that, and I know it was a tremendous amount of work. And I also want to thank the El Dorado as well, because they comped the rooms for Lydia and James, so that was very nice as well. So thank you, Kara, for that. Upcoming events, we have the Silver State Art Festival today, tomorrow, and Sunday. That's the Gourds over there at Fuji Park. So I'm going to swing by there tomorrow and check that out. And then this upcoming weekend, plans are still in place. This is in advance of the Prospect Pater Carson City gravel grinder over in the Pine Nut. So this is Carlos Perez with Bike Monkey. This is his deal. So this is exposing sponsors, potential current ones, to Carson City in advance of the event next calendar year. So that'll take place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we are trying to finalize some plans with him on dinners, and I will, as soon as I know what's going on, that'll go out to you all as board members for one of those 2 evenings to participate in the event with the sponsors and his staff and some other folks that he invites in before he launches a new event, in a community. So we have the Governor's Global Tourism Summit in November, and again, we are going to have a booth. We're a sponsor there. So we'll have a booth set up, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity, probably 100 and something international media, tour operators, travel agents So to be front and center in front of those folks, I think it's a great opportunity for a small investment that we ordinarily wouldn't be able to get in front of that many folks internationally. So, and then NTA. So that's the big one in December, and James and I will both be there in Fort Worth. The appointments open up in mid-October, is what we have been told. So we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes right now, getting some wonderful help from the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority, and then Sue is going to be helping us up at the LTVA. So it'll be my first official go-around, same thing for James to actually be at NTA. And so they're helping us out. We'll have a one-sheeter that'll speak to the motor coach industry on that front, and I'll share that back, obviously, with the board behind the scenes to get some input from all of you on that. And then we're going to do some reach out to the properties just to assess if they're working with receptives, the OTAs, LA, San Francisco, to help us to determine the best folks to meet with on an appointment basis when the appointments open up in October. So we don't have the visibility I was hoping we would have right now online to who all those potential appointments are. That doesn't happen until the middle of October. We just found out last week. So we're making the most of it and just talking with our other partners in Northern Nevada who have been to NTA and to understand who they've met with in the past, how they think Carson City may fit nicely into some of their itineraries and their product development. So with that, yeah, Lydia is the happiest morning person ever. And she was still super happy on Sunday. I couldn't even believe it. So yeah. Yeah. So if we do this again, I think Lydia was offering to take a board member each morning with her. So
I'll come pick you up.
So any questions? Sorry.
No, but do you want to add, we also have the Rockabilly Riot, that is the weekend, next weekend, which is a 3-day event, which I think last year they had 500 cars or something like that, 400, 500 cars. So that's a big one for us as well.
Thank you, Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, no, wonderful job, and thanks for being our morning person.
I try.
All right, any future agenda items or requests for future agenda items from anyone, board, executive, no? Our next meeting, October 14th, 4 o'clock, same place, same time. Board comments or announcements for requests for information?
I don't know if any of you are familiar with Jonathan Wright. He's the food writer for the RGJ. So I get a weekly email from him. He updates on what's coming and going, and he did have information on the Martin not making it in Carson, but then he also had information, I believe, on Mark Estes coming in. So it's interesting to be a part of, I've never seen Carson be a part of that at all. So that's a good thing for us here to have him talking about Carson, whether not the greatest if it's closing, but something else coming in, I think is really good to be a part of his. And the RGJ foodies are watching that so we can drift them towards Carson with more information like that.
I couldn't agree with you more, and it's funny you mentioned that because Chrissy, through Travel Nevada, because Tracy Barnhouse, who was a protege of Chrissy's, we've been working on something to get Jonathan to come down here, actually from a foodie perspective, and so that's something it still hangs out there in the balance, but yeah, I think it's a great opportunity with Mark Este. He's got the Liberty, in Reno and the Union here, so I think to maybe bounce people around, get people out of Reno Sparks area to come down here and check out a new restaurant of his may be pretty cool for Carson City.
I agree.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, Lydia, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
The whole staff is. I mean, I think, things are going exactly, on the right path, and just want to say thank you.
Oh, we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
With that, I don't think there's any more public comment, so I'll just take a motion to adjourn. We're adjourned.